All right, join us now on Drive the Lane, making his third appearance, the head coach of the Ohio State men's basketball team, Coach Chris Holtmann. Coach, welcome back to the show.
Is it 3 already, Andrew? Whoa.
I believe so.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. Lucky number 3 here. Here we go. It's good to be with you guys. Great to be with you guys. As always, great to be with our guy, Joey, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Holt, it's clear that now you are officially an annual guest. There's not a ton of annual guests that we have. I guess that's my first question. How's it feel to, I mean, you got the radio show, you do the media all the time. How does it feel to know that every year, at least once, you get to come on and talk with us?
Well, this is my most enjoyable media experience pretty much in my entire life. So it's hard to really compare it to anything else. This experience is really second to none. No, it's great. It's good being with you guys. You guys know both of you really know our program. Obviously, Joey, you know it as a former player, but yeah, it's good. It's great being with you guys. It's nice when you have, when you're talking to somebody who's kind of been in the program.
Coach, I have told friends and family, and Joey and I talk about it often. When we saw you at TBT, I'm always like, what was my favorite part of TBT? When Coach was up at the top of the arena, and I waved to him, and he waved back, and then he came down and gave us a hug. So I'm very happy that you've accepted me into the program. I'm just waiting for my fingerprint to work on the front door of the arena, but we can get that taken care of next time in Columbus. No rush on that. Yeah,
we'll get working on that. Hey, Joey knows who to talk to on that. That's David Egeloff. He'll get you lined up.
When Coach, obviously we're talking to you the night after the exhibition game. When I was after the game, I was there with my sister, and I wanted to show her the practice gym because there was some new decor on the walls. Scanned my finger to get in there, and I showed her, and she was like, "Hold on, wasn't it locked? How do we get in here?" And I said, "Listen, Hannah, I still got a little bit of pull. My fingerprint still works." So. Well, Andrew, I think you're like a year away still, but you're on the right track.
Yeah, and there's an expiration date on that, Joey, for you. So might have 9 more months of that. I don't know. We'll have to check the rule book.
Oh, man, too funny. But, Coach, let's talk some hoops. Obviously, we'll get to some fun stuff as well. But you guys played in the exhibition game last night. It's an interesting season because the team is old and young, and there's so many different pieces. What were your takeaways from, not a lot of people got to see the game. What were your takeaways for someone who maybe didn't watch the game last night?
Yeah, I thought it was a good kind of run through against somebody on the outside that you guys really need that right now. And our scrimmage versus Ole Miss was really good the week before. They got us pretty good. They beat us up in some ways, and I think that was good for us to kind of go through that. We had some guys out with Justice adding to Kyle and Seth being out. So, we had to play some different lineups, and I thought that always gives you a chance for your younger guys to grow and develop, and some guys to get some extended minutes. But I thought we did some good things. We played with a little more. We just played a little bit harder and a little more aggressiveness than what we had the prior game against Ole Miss. Granted, much different competition. Indy was banged up. They were without a couple players. They're a solid Division II program, but nothing like what we're going to see, on opening night against a really good Akron team. So, all in all, it was good. It was good to get some good video, good film to come back and present to our guys.
So, if we rewind a year, and I would have said, "Here's your roster for your, 21-22 season," you would have gone through and said, well, there's a lot of names on there that aren't here right now. Some, of course, freshmen, some are transfers. For you as a coach, is it easier to integrate a freshman into the program or a transfer?
A good question. I think both have their challenges. I think you're working a little bit on the head, but working on more of a late freshman. But I think it really depends on how receptive the kid is to this, maybe different way of doing things, how coachable they are. a young kid, you're still learning about him as a player because he's evolving and growing right in front of your eyes. Somebody like a Malachi or a Michi's kind of growing right in front of our eyes versus Jamari. He's growing as well. Joey's growing, Cedric's growing, but we know more about those guys. So I think it really depends on the kid, how willing they are to kind of learn and learn a different way and embrace that different way and buy into it, really.
So something that you've always preached, and it's been a little bit different maybe in this age of college basketball, is getting old and staying old. And obviously this team is the oldest team you'll ever have, because I don't think it'll be possible to have this many seniors, fifth-year guys as well. Obviously that's something that's exciting for you in a sense. What do you think is something else that's the most exciting thing about this team?
I think, as you mentioned earlier, Joey, just the blend of having some younger guys. Zed Key's still a young guy. He's one of our youngest players overall, and he's growing his experience. EJ, granted, he's going into his third year, but he's a young kid as well. But I think having that, and then obviously our young guards having some experience, and then yet having our young guards that can grow and develop, and then a guy like Gene and Zed who are in their second year, balanced by some really good stability. It's hard to have roster stability nowadays, and I do think that we've had a pretty good roster stability here these last couple of years. You got a guy like Justin in his fourth year, Kyle in his fifth year, EJ in his third year, Justice Suing in his third year. That's continuity. So when I say get old, stay old, as much as possible, you want to have some continuity with your returning players getting older. It's okay to go out and get, guys from the outside that increase your experience and your age. But if you can get a continuity with some core guys, it's never going to be like it was. Those days are over 15, 20 years ago where you had, 4 seniors on senior night who had all been in your program for 4 years. Probably in most cases, those are over. Guys professionalize earlier. The transfer rate is, going to be plus 40%. We know that, but we've had great continuity, and that's a good thing to rely on.
Obviously a lot to be excited about and look forward to, but what's waking up Coach Holtmann at 3 a.m.? Something you're nervous about going into this season?
I just think, Andrew, in general, our schedule, our non-conference really is I think lined up now to be the most challenging we've had. As I mentioned, we have a really challenging opener with Akron, and then we've got just a lot of games in there. We have a combination of some really good mid-majors, as well as you got an at Xavier, and you got a Duke at home, and you got Kentucky, and you got a really good Seton Hall team. And, so I think it's that whole, that probably gets you thinking that because we have this combination of veteran guys and a little bit of health issue along with some young guards, I think we're going to be a little bit of a work in progress here, which is fine. But that probably keeps me and trying to figure out how to stay healthy, because that really did, in all credit to obviously Oral Roberts, but that did bite us a little bit in the tournament after the Big Ten tournament run. So can we get healthy and stay healthy for the last couple months of the season?
One guy who is healthy, and we saw it last night, as a guy who used to be in my nightmares, is Jamari Wheeler. Everyone is talking about him. The press is going nuts about him. Even the guys on the team right now, if they're asked about him, they go on and on about how great he's been. Let's hear it from the man himself, the man who got him to Ohio State. What's it been like having the best defensive guard since Aaron Kraft, really, back at Ohio State?
Yeah, he's been a tremendous addition. And someone told me that there's a video out there of Andrew Dockich narrating a couple clips of Danny Hummer and Jamari jawing back for the game, scat the earth to try to figure out where that video is, and because I heard it's pretty good. Jamari brings a great competitive spirit. And as much as anything, that's what we love about him. He's been an everyday guy, and defensively, he's been tremendous. He has just been tremendous. And I just think his competitive juice every day in practice has been something we've really needed. So you saw it firsthand. We saw it firsthand. His offensive game is still kind of growing and evolving, but man, he's brought some just everyday approach that we've needed.
So I don't want to jump too far ahead because, like you mentioned, you got a big non-con schedule coming up. Got to get through those games first. But when you're looking around and you're looking at the Big Ten, and you know you're going to be in a battle every night in the Big Ten, who are some of the teams that you're like, okay, they're bringing these guys back. We gotta, we really got to prep for them. Or is there any teams where 3 weeks out before that game, you're implementing stuff because you know it's going to be important down the line to have practiced that as much as you can?
In this league, it sounds like coach speak, but it usually is the next one. Because in this league, you can get, I think maybe the team that won the league the last couple of years has lost the last 2 seasons, like 3 out of the last 4, 3 of their last 4 games, and yet still won the regular season. So I think you just don't, anybody can get you in this league. We open with a Penn State team that people are, might look at and say, well, they're going to be, changing coaches, but they're going to be very, very difficult to play on opening night in the Big Ten, especially there. We've always had challenges there. The traditional ones that you can think of right now, Andrew, obviously people expect Illinois to be even better than what they were last year, which was a 1 seed. I think people look at Michigan, say that's the most talented team in the league. At least it's kind of what people have told me. I think Indiana is going to be very good. Michigan State's going to be very good because they're really talented and because of Tom. I think Wisconsin's going to be better than Maryland. And then obviously you got a team like Purdue that a lot of people have picked to win the league. So, but there's a lot of teams on down the line, like Rutgers is going to be another tournament team this year. So I just think it's really the next one. No, Huck. Sorry about that. It's really the next one. And I think that's what makes this league so fun to play in. But if you talk to coaches, we're exhausted in March. We're so tired of seeing each other. We've all talked to Jim Delaney about this idea he had of a 20-game league schedule before it kind of became cachet. Nobody wanted it. Jim didn't really care about that. And to his credit, it has helped probably us in terms of adding NCAA tournament at large burst, but nobody likes it in the midst of that 20-game schedule.
As you talk about the other teams are talking about Ohio State in a very similar way. And one of those reasons is because of guys like EJ Liddell, who we really haven't touched on so far. Obviously you were pumped up. Everyone was, all of Ohio State was, to see him coming back. How do you think he takes the next step this year in becoming, the guy that everyone says he's going to be as a first team all Big Ten guy, a potential, player of the year? How does he take that next jump?
I just love EJ as a player and as a person and as a kid. Love everything about him. And I say that at the same time, he would probably tell you I've been on him as much this year as I've ever been on him because I want so badly for him to grow. And I understand that in a lot of ways, this could be his hardest year. The paint's going to be a little more crowded because we're playing another big alongside him. So the paint's going to be a little more crowded. There won't be as much space offensively for him to work. He's going to be guarding more on the perimeter than we did last year. Require movement, more conditioning, more fitness, higher level of fitness for him. But I think he's taken real steps in his game, positive steps in his game in the offseason. And I think we'll see that, but it won't be without some growing pains. And he's going to have to handle that the right way, which I'm confident he will. But let's not go into the season and saying, hey, it's all going to be easy for EJ. There's going to be some challenges for him, but knowing who EJ as a kid, he's going to handle those the right way. And that's what one of the things I love about him.
Coach, we definitely are going to want to ask you some fun, classic drive the lane questions, relieve some of your, preseason stress. So I'm going to leave you with this for, real time media questions. Last thing, if you're like, this is what I want everyone to know about this team going into this season, what is it?
I will never, ever follow Jimmy Sotos on TikTok. Not going to happen.
Does that mean you have a TikTok, Coach?
I don't have a TikTok. But if I did, I would not ever make that decision. I'm not doing it. Okay. I hear that he's a good follow. That's what I've heard. Okay.
Well, he gave us our most viewed YouTube video ever. And we just were like Jimmy Sotos on Drive the Lane. And I don't know how, but it just went crazy. Maybe it got on TikTok somehow. So he's a viral sensation.
He is an absolute machine with it. I give him all the credit in the world. He's developed a platform and he really is serious about, he's been a tremendous worker for us this year. So, you're always worried about divided time. For him, I give him credit. He's been pretty serious minded. And trust me, he's not going to lose sleep about me not following him on TikTok. He's doing okay on that platform from what I understand. But no, I'm excited about this group. I'm excited about this year for sure.
What would it take, Coach, to get in one of his TikToks? Is it a Big Ten championship? Is it a Final Four run? What is it going to take?
That's a good question. Maybe he and I will have that conversation. But I think he's got a demographic that follows him. Let's just say that I don't fit. All right. He's got a demographic that follows him on TikTok. And, the late 40s, early 50-year-old male is not typically that demographic. So,
well, Coach, I tell you look like Brad Pitt. So maybe you do fit that demographic.
Yeah. Well, I'm not the ones. I think there's a different demographic to follow Jimmy, but I appreciate that. So no, it's a different world we live in, and I'm learning every day about all that stuff, which is kind of part of the job here too. You got to learn about some of that stuff.
Just imagine, Coach, if all this was going on while I was in school. That would have been
yeah. Hey, you'd have had quite the TikTok or Instagram following.
Jimmy always jokes whenever I see him because obviously, we go way back, and he always jokes. He's like, if it wasn't for Towel Gang, I would have none of this. And I'm like, Jimmy, it's all you, dude. Like, it is not me. So
he's found his niche. Yeah, he's found his niche.
Absolutely. Shifting gears a bit, Coach. I saw on Twitter that there was a team of college basketball players, 10 guys, called the How the Hell Are These Guys Still in College team. Mm-hmm. And Kyle Young did not make the team. Do you have a response to him not making that team?
Well, how did he not make that team, right? I mean, how did he not make that team? I don't know what the kid's got to do. He's literally played an important role every year he's been in college, and that amazed me. I don't know who was on that list. That had to be in a pretty impressive list if Kyle Young didn't make it.
They've got guys like Jalen Coleman-Lands, who's my age, who's still in college, and like Jordan Bohannon, who's in his 6th year. So it's like, but still, there's not 10 guys in college that you go, how the hell is Kyle Young not in college first?
He can't compete with a 7th-year player. I get that. He's in his 5th year, but yeah, you got to put Kyle Young on that list just because of his imprint on the game. We were talking about, one of the iconic moments, I think, for us in terms of our rivalry with Michigan is that rip the jersey game. So hopefully he can stay healthy and we can have more of those.
Coach, I have a really fun question to ask you. I know, you've been around all the alumni, you have the alumni days. If you could pick a former Buckeye that didn't play for you to add to this team this year, who are you adding?
Ooh, a former Buckeye.
I came ready today with the questions.
Boy, that is a tough one. There are so many good former Buckeyes. But you know what? I think in a lot of ways, couldn't you make it easy? And I'm just going to go with, I think, the all-time wins leader. And I believe that's David Lighty. So there's, how could you go wrong with Conley or D'Angelo or Jarrett or Kraft or Sully? Holy cow, on down the line. Scooney Penn's one of my, I loved Scooney Penn, loved having him on staff. Michael Redd, like those on down the line, those guys. And but it's hard to bet against the all-time wins leader. He could do so many things. Granted, he may not have played in the NBA. He's had a heck of an overseas career, but just because of the all-time wins, I'll go with that one. That's a tough one there.
We've had tons of guys who have been teammates with Dave, and we ask a lot of the former guys, who is your favorite teammate you ever played with, and he is a pretty consistent. If he's not the first guy that's mentioned, he's mentioned eventually. So, it's hard to argue with Dave Lighty. And
Evan too. Evan's one of those guys where it's like, I love talking to Evan to this day. He just has great insight, and great understanding. He came from, his story's really interesting here. But that's what makes a program special. You have a lot of Buckeyes that have really left a legacy. And it's one of the things I love about EJ is I think it does matter to him that he leaves a legacy where people reflect back on his time here and says, man, those 3 years, he was a Buckeye. He really embraced what that meant.
No, absolutely. And I think that's something that's unique about the last 5 years of Ohio State is that the guys on the team all care more about Ohio State than they ever had. Because as we've talked about in length, there was a little bit of a gap when it was more selfish guys versus team first guys. And there's no question that, each guy that I talked to in the locker room last night, it was clear that they were just as happy for Harrison Hookfin having 5 points as they were for, themselves having a good night. So there's no doubt about that, but I do want to shift gears again. I feel like Andrew's asking the good questions. I'm asking the silly questions. But that's because I get to talk to you more than Andrew does. I talked to your wife and your daughter last night after the game for a bit. And of course, the topic was Halloween. I told them what I was for Halloween. I learned about what Nora was for Halloween. So I got to ask you from the source. I know you didn't dress up because you are a costume. You are Coach Holtmann. You come with a costume. What does Halloween look like at the Holtmann house?
Halloween has always been right around, like in the middle of practice. We're preparing for an exhibition. Nora was a bumblebee, I think, to this year. She's been a princess. It's great. It was terrible weather here. I don't typically even have time to go out and trick or treat. And I made the decision I was going to do it this year.
You almost had a mistake there, Coach. I think.
Driving, pouring rain. Fortunately, we had some guys in our neighborhood, Bobby Carpenter, who's a former Ohio State football player, who's now doing a lot of media stuff. It was good seeing him out there and a bunch of other neighbors. But no, man, it's pretty. We put the candy out. We usually, if I'm here, sometimes I'm still at the office, but if I'm here, I do want to give our staff time. We got a lot of kids on staff, as you know, Joey. Halloween's a great night because they get a chance to take their kids out. Terry Johnson was always great with that. He'd make that a priority. I should probably make it more of a priority, but I'm thinking about other things usually that time.
When kids come to the door, do they ever double take and say, hold on, I've seen this guy on TV before?
Yeah, we had some kids actually come up in basketball jerseys. They were all wearing NBA jersey. Then there were a couple throwbacks in there. And, I had a hat on. And hey, you guys like basketball? Like, yeah. They were all kind of like 10 to 15. And they're like, yeah, we like basketball. And they're racing right past me. And I said, you know whose house this is? And they go, yeah, it's Coach's. And they just raced right past me and grabbed the candy and walked. I don't know if they recognized me or not, but yeah, we had some good, kids at that point. They're not worried about anything other than the bottom line, and that is grab as much candy as they can.
Coach, I have one final question for you. So I'm wearing my Towel Gang sweatshirt right here. Joey seems to think that, if the rules would have been in place when he was in college that are in place now, he would have made a good amount of money. What do you think about that?
The question is he has a pretty significant, and at that time had a pretty significant social media following. I don't know what it is now, Andrew, but I'm assuming it's only grown. But at that time, the Ohio State platform, as you guys know, is pretty significant. So knowing Joey and knowing his business acumen, he'd have parlayed every single television appearance into something that could have given him some real earnings when it comes to NIL. So it wouldn't have surprised me. Would he have been a six-figure guy? Don't know. That's we're, at the end of this year, we'll know exactly who all our six-figure guys were. Could Joey have been in that position?
I think so.
Maybe coach would have played him more. Maybe his coach would have played him.
All I needed out of all this is I just wanted to be in an advertisement to get a car. That's all I wanted to do, because that's always the running joke is football teams, basketball coaches, they're giving their kids cars. So I just wanted the car. That's all I needed.
I could have seen that. I could have seen you in, I don't know, a Hyundai or something.
In a Hyundai. No. Yeah. I mean, Andrew, thanks for bringing that up, man. Yeah, it's definitely a soft spot for me. But it's all good. I just like to say that I paved the way a bit, so it's all good. But Coach, before we let you go, Andrew is too humble and shy to ask you this, but he is coming in for the Duke game. And I have told him, yeah, I'll get you tickets. Obviously saying that it's the biggest game that Ohio State's had in 10 years at home. Are we going to be able to get Andrew a ticket?
Andrew, we'll find a way, man. We will find a way. All right. If we have to go to the person who runs the Holtmann house and say, hey, reserve one ticket. Are you coming by yourself or are you bringing a lady friend?
Well, my lady friend is probably not coming, but I would like to sit with, my co-host if possible. That would be the ideal situation.
Okay, now you're making demands. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure if we can accommodate all of your demands, Andrew, but what we can do is get you in the house. It's sold out.
Well, I was thinking, odds are at least one manager, one coach, someone's not going to be able to make it. I'm sure literally on the bench, which is not a use of a ticket, somewhere on the bench will be open. A manager has a test the next day, something like that. So that's always an option.
Something out. Yeah. You have my word. I see the little red button. We have this recorded. You have my word. You have my word. We'll get this figured out. We'll get you in the house. I can't exactly promise where, but we will get you in the house. It'll be a good ticket.
Well, against Stetson, I sat behind the bench, so I know it's a little bit more of a coveted game, not by much, but a little bit more. So I know you're good for it, so I appreciate it.
We got you. We got you covered.
All right, Coach, before we let you go, you got any questions for us? You've been dying to ask the last year or so since you've been on?
No, fellas. No, I'm happy for you. I'm excited for this new venture and, look forward to my annual appearance with you guys and then my annual TBT appearance with you guys. So no, I'm looking forward to, I don't consume a ton of media during the season because it's not healthy for coaches. But I look forward to seeing you guys at games and following us for sure. Thanks for following and your interest in our program.
Appreciate that. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime, guys. Anytime. I got you covered, Andrew.